Okay, so moving on to question number 4, they say Kasumi studies online. Which one of these is a user-generated reference site? So when we say user-generated reference site, it's a site that each user is putting their own content, and other users can go read it and gather information from it. Okay, it's a source of knowledge or source of education, you can say. So the answer over here would be a wiki. Okay, so the best example I can give you is Wikipedia, but then you also have other examples like WikiHow, WikiTravel. Okay, you have various other wikis where people can put their own information. They can have a category for it, they can have a title for it, and then people from around the world can visit these wikis and gather information. Okay, so it's a user-generated reference site. Okay. Which one of these is a method Kasuni could use to avoid plagiarizing content? Okay, so when it comes to plagiarism, the best practice is paraphrasing. Instead of simply copying and pasting it, you write it in your own words. Okay, you read it, you understand it, and then write it in your own words, which is known as paraphrasing. Okay, right. So let me put the answer over here. Paraphrasing. Okay, right. Moving on to the C question, it says, describe how the key features of social bookmarking could be used by students completing a research project. So we are talking about social bookmarking. So social bookmarking is a site. Okay, it's a kind of social networking site where users put URLs of various resources. Okay, so say for example, you want to talk about a website that allows you to download textbooks, for example. You can share the URL of that website. You can put a description for it. You can categorize it based on keywords. You can say Edexcel, textbooks, education, O-level, A-level. You can categorize this URL based on keywords. And then you can have members from the community coming and visiting that URL. Okay, so say, for example, somebody else is also looking for a textbook. They can type textbook, they can search for it, they can come across your URL, they can visit your URL. Thereafter, they can also reply to your URL. Okay, reply to the bookmark that you created. They can like it, they can thumbs up it. Okay, so each bookmarking site will have a few different features. Some might have like, some may have upvote, some may have thumbs up. Okay, they will have different features, but basically what we are going to answer over here is we're going to talk about the key features. Okay, so let's put it down. You can say in social bookmarking, users can store URLs means the address of a website. Okay, the address of a web page, the address of a specific video, image, whatever it is. Users can store URLs of web pages. Okay, and they can categorize these URLs by keywords. Okay, now in some sites they may use it as keywords, some sites they may use it as tags. Okay, instead of keywords they may call it as tags. So you can say education, O-level, A-level, Edexcel. So these either can be called keywords or they can be called tags. Okay, so you can categorize them by keywords or tags. And then, so in social bookmarking, users can store, and then members of this platform community of this social bookmarking site, whatever it is, and then members of this platform can browse through for URLs for information. No, you can say so, and then members of this platform can browse through for websites that they may find useful. Okay, so you can search, so for example, you can go onto a social bookmarking site and you can search Edexcel textbooks to download or O-level textbooks to download. Now, since O-level and textbook have been keyword under the URL, this particular URL may come up, and then you can open up that URL, you can visit the website, and if you found it useful, you can come back and place a comment saying this site is very useful, I found the following books on it, thank you very much. Okay, you can put a positive comment over there. Or say, for example, you open the URL and it was a web page came saying error 404, page not found or something, you can come back and place a comment saying this link no longer works. Okay, so then whoever else comes to that link, they will know, okay, it's not working. Okay, so you can, let's go on, let's write our answer even further. They find useful, and members can leave comments base we can leave comments on the URLs posted. They may also be able to share it with other members. Okay, they may also be able to share it with other members. Okay, so you found something useful, you can share it so that everybody else who is connected to you, they will also be able to see this URL. Okay, so I hope we have properly described. Let's go through the answer again. In social bookmarking, users can store URLs of web pages, and they can categorize these URLs by keywords or tags, and then members of this platform can browse through for websites that they may find useful. Shall we say URLs instead of website, because we have spoken about URLs here? No, it might just, let's put URLs again. And members can leave comments on the URLs posted. They may also be able to share it with other members. Yeah, so we have spoken about some of the key features. Okay, so they're talking about it being used by students completing a research project. Okay, so say for example, somebody is doing a project about globalization, for example, or climate change, for example. So they can go onto a social bookmarking site and they can just type climate change, and once they press enter, they'll get so many results of URLs that are related to climate change. Okay, and each URL will have a description. This is about maybe a research conducted by so and so in this year about climate change in this specific country, and this is the URL in order to get the information. So then you can open up that URL, you can go to that web page, you can check out the content. If you find the content useful, you can come back and put a comment saying, check it out, I checked it out, the content was useful. Okay, and you can maybe put a like, or you can put a thumbs up, or you can put an upvote, whatever it is. Okay, so that other members, it will be easier for the other members to use. Okay, right. We're done with this, and let's move on to the next question. Okay, so over here it talks about some teachers use OMR to reduce their workload when marking tests. Describe how OMR works. So OMR stands for optical mark recognition. Okay, so basically what happens is OMR is used in MCQ exams, multiple choice question exams. So what happens is the question paper is given separately and the answer sheet is given to you separately. So you read the question on the question paper, and then on the marking on the answer sheet, you mark your answer, you color your answer. So question number 1, if your answer is A, you color A and you color that specific circle only. Question number 2, if your answer is C, you only color C. Okay, question number 3, let's say answer is A and D in question number 3, you only color A and D. Thereafter, this paper is put into an OMR reader, or you say optical mark reader. You put it into that machine. And what this machine does is it detects where the black dots are. Okay, so when you mark something, it becomes a black dot, right? When you mark your answer, it becomes a black dot. It detects where the black dots are and sends this information to your computer. So then now your computer knows where are the correct black spots. Okay, in your computer already knows where the correct black dot should be. So it compares this with what the OMR has sent. Okay, it checks what the OMR has sent and it checks where the correct dot should be, and it marks your paper, and within a second or two, it tells you what your results are. Now, normally, if you had a teacher doing it, she will have to manually mark one by one. She will have to manually mark. But when you do this using a computer, and OMR reader works so fast, within a second, it reads the entire paper and tells the computer where the black dots are. And then the computer decides how many correct, how many wrong. Okay, so it happens very, very, very fast. Okay, so let's put a simple description over here. OMR, or let's put the full form, optical mark reader, detects the black dots on a piece of paper and sends this information to the computer. The computer then decides the final marks of decides the final marks. This entire process is done within few seconds. Okay, So within a few seconds, this entire process is done. So the optical mark really detects where the black dots are. Okay, where are the black dots that the student has marked? It sends it to the computer. So then the computer checks, are the black dots in the correct spots? If they're in the correct spots, it tells how many correct. Okay. If the black dots are not in the correct spots, it will say how many wrong, and it will tell you what is the final mark. Okay. Right. Moving on to this question number E, it goes as schools must comply with data protection laws. Explain why teachers should use a VPN, a virtual private network, to access files on school servers. Okay, good question. Okay, so explain why teachers should use a VPN. So you see, when you use a virtual private network, okay, when teachers use a virtual private network to access school servers, two things will happen. Number one is their connection becomes invisible, it becomes private. Okay, their network is not visible to anybody else. When you use a VPN connection, automatically your network becomes invisible, it becomes private. Nobody else can see this network. And the second thing that happens is all the data that is exchanged in this network is encrypted. So even if somebody in the middle gets hold of the data, they are not going to be able to understand it because the data is completely encrypted. Okay, so I'm repeating myself again. When you use VPN, two things happen. One is your network becomes invisible. Okay, it becomes private. Nobody else can see your network. Now, if nobody else can see this network, will they be able to hack into this network? Will they be able to intercept this network? Not at all possible. Okay, the second thing is the data on the network is also encrypted. It is also translated into another, it is also not translated, it is also scrambled into another form. Okay, until it reaches the teacher's computer, the data is scrambled into another form. So even if somebody manages to intercept the network and get hold of the data, they would not understand anything because in VPN, data is encrypted. Okay, so why should teachers do this? In order to protect the school data, isn't it? They're accessing confidential data. They're accessing, when you access a school server, you're accessing private information, confidential data. Okay, so you teachers have to be very, very careful. So when they use VPN, two things happen. Let us put that down in our answer. Okay, we can say they should use a VPN as a VPN connection is invisible, as a VPN connection is invisible. So nobody from outside will be able to hack into this network or intercept it. Okay, and further, data exchanged. So data exchange means teacher sends information to the school server sends information to the teacher's laptop. Okay, this is what we call exchange. It's happening both ways. Okay, and further, data exchanged in this network is encrypted. So even if somebody manages to get hold of the data on the network, they would not be able to understand. Okay, they would not be able to understand. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Okay, two things happen when you use VPN. Okay, one is encryption, second is network becomes hidden, becomes private, becomes invisible. Okay, Kasuni needs to submit her project file online. Okay, explain why Kasuni compresses her file before uploading it. Okay, so we do know what compression is all about. Compression basically reduces the file size. Okay, your file size is reduced when you compress it. How does it do this? Patterns that are being repeated are not stored in the compression. Instead, the pattern is stored and how many times to repeat it. Okay, the repeated patterns are not stored in compression. Okay, the reason compression becomes small is because repeated patterns are not stored. Instead, the pattern is taken and simply how many times to repeat this pattern is only stored. Okay, so explain why she is compressing it. Yes, the reason she is compressing is in order to reduce the file size and reduce the amount of time that is spent uploading the file and downloading the file. Okay, you can say so that the file size is reduced, and so it takes a shorter time to upload and download. So upload for her and then download, for whoever is going to view her project. Okay, right. Next, it goes on to say which one of these is a type of software used to compress files. Okay, so when it comes to compressing of files, we use utility software. Okay, utility software comes under system software. Okay, so the answer over here is going to be utility. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is a big essay question. Okay, over here getting 8 marks. It says discuss the impact of transaction tracking on the information that individuals see online. Okay, let me just quickly explain this. So they ask when they talk about transaction tracking refers to your activity on a network. Okay, so say for example, you access Amazon's network. You go to Amazon.com, you're on Amazon's network. Everything you do on that network is being tracked. Okay, everything that you do on that network is a transaction. Okay, you click on something, you open something, you view something, you download something, you right click on something. Every time you do something on that network, it's one transaction, and these transactions are tracked. Okay, that's what we call transaction tracking. So whatever activity you do on a network, it might be Amazon, it might be Google, it might be Instagram, it might be Facebook, whatever the network is, whatever action you do on that network is a transaction. Okay, so these transactions or these actions are tracked, are recorded. Okay, so these are tracked using something called cookies. Okay, you would have heard it, you would have seen this pop-up coming when you go to certain websites. It says we are using cookies to track your activity. Do you want to allow it? Do you want to block it? Do you want to allow only some of it? Okay, they ask you these kind of questions. Okay, so over here the question is discuss the impact, discuss what's happening, what is the good about it, what is the bad about it. Okay, what has it caused? Okay, discuss the impact of transaction tracking on the information that individuals see online. So what has transaction tracking do? What has transaction tracking done to the information that individuals see online? Okay, the information that you and I see online is not exactly the same. Both of us may go onto the same website, but what you see, what I see can be completely different based on our internet history. Okay, so say for example, I have been continuously being searching for vehicles, for example. Okay, for vehicle spare parts, for example. Last 2 or 3 days, my internet activity has been searching for vehicle spare parts. Now, when I go on to Amazon.com, automatically products that immediately come up will be related to my previous searches, will be related to vehicle spare parts. Now, you on your device, say, for example, have been searching for holidays, have been searching for hotels, have been searching for things to do when you go to certain countries, for example, leisure activities, things like that. Now, when you go to Amazon, you may get completely different products that appear. Products such as, things that you can take with you when you're traveling, we call what you call those traveling amenities or whatever, things that you will need when you're traveling. Okay, those products may appear for you. Both of us are going onto the same website, but since our internet history is different, we both get different information. Okay, this is what's called transaction tracking. Okay, now when you do answer such a question, you have to first do a complete brainstorming session. Okay, at least 2 to 3 minutes, thinking of all the possible answers. Do not directly start writing your answer, because you will not be able to score 8 marks by just directly writing your answer. Okay, so let me just give you an example of how we can do a brainstorming session. Okay, so I have already done my session. I'm just going to tell you what are the points that I had. Okay, so when it comes to transaction tracking, guys, first thing is personalized content will be shown to you. Okay, content that you are interested will be shown to you. Content that I am interested will be shown to me. So we call this tailored content. We can call this personalized content. Okay, so one outcome from transaction tracking is personalized content is shown to the user. Okay, guys, this is not our answer. We are doing a mind map right now. We are thinking of all the possible answers. Okay, right. Another thing that we can talk about is that it is extremely convenient because you're getting what you want. Okay, you're getting information that you are interested in, information that you have an interest in. You will not have to spend extra time searching for it. Okay, in transaction tracking, the computer will automatically put information in front of you that you are interested in, because it knows what you're interested in. Okay, so you will not have to spend time searching for it. Okay, so let me just copy and paste this point as well. it's convenient, as the user will not have to spend much time searching for what they want. Okay. Another point that we can talk about is privacy. Okay. Some people might be extremely uncomfortable with how much they are tracking you. Okay. Because some sites track you even after you leave the website. Okay. There are certain sites that track you even after you leave the website, it's still tracking your activity. Okay. So some might be very uncomfortable with that. Let us just simply say lack of, or you can say lack of privacy, or uncomfortable with, just say lack of privacy. We're having a brainstorming session, a lack of privacy. Then another problem is reduces the chances to see other information. Okay, now what happens is, based on your history, it's showing you information now, so you do not get exposure to other information, to other points. You get what I mean? Okay, so this can be another problem with transaction tracking. Okay, reduces the chances to see other information. Okay, so say for example, you have been continuously searching for a specific brand. Okay, you have always shown interest in JBL, for example. So when you go on to Daraz, or when you go on to Amazon, or you go on to AliExpress, or you go on to eBay, these shopping sites, it will continuously keep showing you JBL products. But say, for example, you might have another brand, like, for example, I don't know, Harman Kardon, for example, might be a much better brand for you. But since your your complete search history has been based on JBL, it only shows you JBL products. So you might miss out on other information because of this. Okay, something negative. Another problem could be shared devices could be a problem. Yes, when you're using shared devices, say your device is being, you and your sibling are both using the same device. Now, both of you have different interests, isn't it? So then what happens is, the information that is being shown to you sometimes might not be relevant to you, because two people are using the same device. So the computer might sometimes show information that you are not actually interested. It is information that is for your sibling. But what to do? Okay. Right. So then, guys, you have to now start. Now, I think this is enough. Okay. They're giving 8 marks. So I think 3 to 4 points where you can properly explain your answer would be good. Okay. To achieve 8 marks. Okay. So now, once you have your mind map where we have 5 different points over here, you have to start deciding, okay, how do I start? So when you start, you have to first give a introduction to the topic. Okay, tell what transaction tracking is all about. How is it done? A very simple, brief introduction. Okay, so let me just show you how I would do it. I'll just copy and paste how I would do it. Okay, so this is what I had typed with me. So I gave a simple explanation. In today's world, everything you do online is tracked by various websites. This process of tracking your online activity is known as transaction tracking. Transaction tracking happens via cookies. Okay, so it uses something called cookies. So cookies track your activity, and they also store, okay, what you did on the site. Okay, what are the pages you visited, how much of time you spent, what was your IP address, your location, okay, where did you exit, okay, all this information cookies collect. Okay, so I gave an introduction on what it is all about. Okay, then, guys, I'm gonna explain my first point, first impact, which is, now the good thing about cookies is that almost all sites immediately inform individuals that the activity is being tracked using cookies. So almost all websites, as soon as you go on, a pop-up comes saying you are being tracked. If you want, you can opt out of it. If you want, you can allow it. That information is given. Almost all sites do it. Almost all, not all, almost all. Okay, and individuals are mostly given the option to either allow it or disable it. Okay, then further with what happened? With transaction tracking, individuals would get personalized content that they specifically would find useful. Okay, like I told you previously, when transaction tracking happens, you would get content that you would be interested in. Okay, you have been searching for sports shoes. Now, information about sports shoes is coming up when you are using the internet. You are specifically interested in it. Okay, would find useful and interesting. This is of great convenience, something good, something positive. But on the other hand, this can prevent the user from viewing data that the user has never thought of going into, like the example of JBL and Harman Kardon speakers that I gave you. Okay, basically this can limit the user's exposure and awareness. Okay, right, moving on to further. So let me give my next point. Finally, further, If a device is being shared by multiple users, I told you this problem, one device being used by multiple siblings, for example, this can lead to inaccurate content being showed to the users. For example, if one user is interested in sports and the other interested in motoring, sometimes the content that is showed to each other might not be related to each other's interests. Okay, sometimes it can be a nuisance, it can be a problem. You're seeing information that you have no interest in, and the reason it's appearing is because somebody else is using your device. Okay, so it can also be a nuisance. Okay. Then finally, my final point that I have brought up, some users may not properly understand the function of cookies, okay? Because normally when we use the internet, we do skim reading, right? We don't read things in detail. We just see how you're tracking and we say, what is this? Where's the privacy? Lack of privacy here. This website is tracking me, And then sometimes you talk about something and suddenly you see an ad popping up related to what you were talking about. You get scared, you get worried. Hey, what's this? Where's the privacy here? So this can make some people feel very, very uncomfortable, okay? Okay, some websites do not properly inform the users about cookies, nor do they give the option for users to opt out of tracking. So this can lead to users feeling very uncomfortable about surfing the internet. Okay, so a negative side about this is certain websites, they can violate the privacy of certain users where they don't properly inform the user, or they don't give the user the option to disable it or to opt out of it, or some websites simply don't tell anything at all. Okay. And then finally, guys, you should have a conclusion. You should have a conclusion. And this is my conclusion. May not be the perfect one, but I just gave it a try. So transaction tracking can be a major convenience to many. I have already mentioned how at the top, I have mentioned, but it too can be a major concern of privacy for some, which I have already mentioned here. So remember, guys, your conclusion should be related to your points. Okay. So this is what I came up with. Please, you do try it. Okay. Do not just skip over this, say, okay, we got the answer. Let's move on. No, try writing it, because you're achieving 8 marks from here. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, 8 marks is a huge number. Okay, so do try it on your own. Try to brainstorm, come up with your own answers, and then practice writing. Okay, you have to keep practicing writing after writing after writing in order to perfect writing these type of answers. Okay, so please do try it on your own as well. Okay, in the next video, we will be moving on to question number 5. Okay, see you guys in the next video.